and welcome to On Air Belmont. My name is Suzzanne Cromwell, and I am your host. Today we have a segment for all you parents out there, or all you young people out there, who might need a little help managing those finances. Actually, I do say that the show that we have today is going to help teenagers, actually, manage their finances. And parents out there, I mention you because as a parent, this is information that you might really want to know. My guest today is Jill Suskind, and she actually runs a wonderful seminar for teens who are trying to learn more about money, managing their money, how to make their money work for them in their lives. And the program seminar that she runs is WealthQuest for Teens, and Jill is here today to talk about this seminar. Thank you for joining us, Jill.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, let's get right down to it. Before we began to get the show underway today, you and I were having a conversation about money and about how money makes people feel, or the perception of money. Why don't we first talk about why this particular subject matter when it comes to teenagers, when it comes to young people between the ages of 14 and 18?
Well, there are lots of reasons. One reason is, as an adult who has been working on my own finances for a long time, I have noticed that my habits with money are exactly the same habits that I had when I was a teenager. And I didn't have a lot of opportunities to explore the world of finances, to explore my ideas about money. I was just labeled by my family. I was the sister who spent her money. Mm-hmm. My sister was the sister who saved her money. And neither of us grew up as wealth producers. And we didn't have very many opportunities to explore wealth or to explore money. And so I think, like most people, we grew up with a lot of myths and thinking that isn't very productive about money, and we didn't get a very good education or a very good skill set about managing money. And when I started to rework my finances, I had to deal with these habits that I had since I was a teenager. And as a teacher, the natural outcome of that was to start thinking, well, how can I change this for people? Because I think one of the other things that I discovered was that almost all the adults I know are dealing with money in some sort of ineffective way. And all of us can trace our habits all the way back to when we were teenagers, when we were learning to deal with money in a very closed environment.
Now, and you mentioned that you're a teacher, and that's something that is important because you're around. Now, in what grade do you teach, or what ages do you teach?
I teach high school English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been teaching different grades and different subjects for 22 years. And so I'm always looking at the process of development.
So this kind of the merger of you being a teacher and being around young people, and then having the notion in the back of your mind that money management is an important thing. The two of them together kind of is what started this idea to have this seminar. So tell us how the seminar came about, how the idea for actually teaching kids in kind of in an atmosphere that, they can't, it's a seminar, they can't leave, they're not distracted. How did that idea come about of having a seminar?
Well, 5 or 6 years ago, I started to deal with my own money problems, what I decided were problems, which were the common situation that a lot of us experience, which is we just have a huge amount of credit card debt, and somehow we get through life on our salary, and it's not a very effective way of going about managing and relating to money. And so I started taking courses about money, and some were really helpful and some were less helpful. And I also joined some groups and started to work on my money with my friends. And I noticed that in that environment, you can really impact your finances and get on a really different track. And I thought, why aren't we all doing this? Why is this so unique? It really is an area of life that's so important. And with teenagers and kids, all the important areas of life, we have multiple opportunities to explore. You know, someone who is learning about music, we hear music in our home, we hear music in our car, we're in the orchestra, we're in the band, we're in our own garage band. You know, we learn about money and music in lots of different ways. Or in the area of religion, you might be in a church group, you might go to church with your family, you might, have lots of opportunities to explore and develop yourself in that area. All the important areas of life, we have an opportunity to play around with in different venues, but money seems to be a very
different
closed and different thing, and it's not helpful. It's not productive, and it keeps us from having really the lives of our dreams, ultimately. And so I decided, you know what, I think I want to change that for people and give teenagers an opportunity to be together, to learn the way teenagers learn, and which is with each other. And in an interactive, fast-paced, interesting, fun way, and so that's what I wanted to offer teens, as an opportunity to be together and to think about money in a new way.
Wow. Now, do you find that that ultimately in these seminars they end up kind of helping each other out, or obviously relationships build, and that's a big part of this as well. But do you find that they begin to, open up to each other, lean on each other, kind of, talk more openly about, which is, teens don't normally talk finances.
Right.
So this is a great outlet.
Right. Teenagers don't really get together and talk about money, but when you start the subject, as it turns out, and you open it up and you take all the mystery off of it, then everybody wants to talk about money all of a sudden. And I found that not only in my seminars, but also even in my classroom when I started to teach nonfiction units on money, that all my teenagers really want to talk about money and when they do surveys, when you look at the research, teenagers are very concerned with money, and teenagers want to know that they're going to be successful with money in their future. And so teenagers really, really want this education.
Well, now, and that's kind of how it all started. And you brought elements that you had learned about money to the classroom, to your own classroom, and you found that sparked interest with your students?
Right. It surprised me, the enthusiasm that came back at me. And it surprises a lot of people when I tell them. But the essays and the book reports that I get from my students are amazing. Amazing.
Wow. Now, the name of the seminar is WealthQuest for Teens.
Right. Now,
tell us, if you can, what are the important points about the seminar that you'd like to share with people?
Okay. And it's a great question, especially for me, to let you know that this is not an investing course. This is not a budgeting course. This is not a course to teach teenagers how to invest in real estate, although there are programs like that, and they're very valuable. This is a different kind of course. One thing I start talking about is how habits and attitudes are really the ultimate wealth determiners for all of us all the time. And participants look at their own habits and attitudes towards money right now, and they see how those habits and attitudes can really predict their own net worth right now. And then they can take a look at, well, what habits and attitudes would be wealth producing, and what would it take, and would it be worth it? So we start talking about that, and we talk about what is a good reason to have money, to have wealth, something that's beyond yourself. How is it that our own financial well-being impacts the world at large? Not only when we're not successful with money, how that impacts our other people, but also when we are successful with money, what kind of impact can we have on the world? So we really take a look at that. We also look at money management strategies that that teenagers can begin to really master now, so that when they first reach financial issues, when they first have to deal with financial realities and decisions and where they need to really show their skills, they're already prepared with confidence and with competence to deal with money from the very beginning. So I teach money management strategies and skills. We also really just talk about what is money.
What is wealth? Probably.
What is wealth, too? We talk about what is financial freedom, and how does freedom relate to finances.
Do you find that many of the students that attend your seminar, the young people that attend your seminar, do they bring to these discussions like maybe negative experiences that maybe they see their parents handle with regard to money? If a young person sees, mom or dad kind of, having trouble and struggles of their own, then, that impacts a young person, of course. Negative financial situations with parents impact as well as positive ones.
Right.
Do they tend to express that this is, has had an impact on them, and do they express that openly?
We mostly find out that exactly what's happening in the home with regards to money is what is informing teenagers and their own ideas
right.
about money.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I think we all start to think is whatever kind of money our parents have is the same future that we are living into.
Mm-hmm. Without even knowing it, maybe.
Right. And so we start to come to this belief that people who come for money are the ones who get to have money, and the people who don't come for money, we don't get to have money. And that's a belief that's really not true in either case. And then we also start to think that salary is what determines wealth, because it starts to look like, and it's an illusion, it looks like people with bigger salaries get to have more money. And it's actually a function of money management that determines our wealth, not a function of salary. It's an easy thing to look at. Oh, well, if you have a great salary, you can still overspend.
Exactly. Just because you have several zeros, next to your paycheck doesn't mean that you have that in the bank necessarily. Right. And you probably discuss, or do you discuss money as a form of identity, or how money can so easily become your identity? Or, someone who has less money, their identity is kind of sinks, and someone who has more or manages it more, identity becomes like a very positive, wonderful thing.
Right. It's a question of your sense of self and what's possible for you, I think.
Now, I'm actually going to I have some materials here that you shared with me, and I'm just going to highlight a little bit of what you shared with me earlier. That as you said, the seminar is not an investment seminar. It's not about answers. It's about teens finding their own good reasons for being responsible and ambitious about money, and to become lifelong learners about money. And you also say that it's not about success with money, but it's also about success in all important areas of life. And I think that's what I really want to stress as well. That this is a money management seminar, but there's so much more that teens get out of it.
Right. It is a money management seminar. It is about money. We talk about the laws of money. We talk about compound interest. We talk about investing principles.
Wow.
We practice money management strategies, actually practice in pairs, and kids learn a system that's going to work for them for the rest of their lives. And I also am continually stressing that all the principles that apply to money also apply to all the important areas of life. That if you put your energy toward your financial life, then you'll have a good financial life. If you want to have a good academic life, also put your energy into your academics. Kids can start to see that the principles of success work in the same way in every area of life.
Wow.
If you want to have good relationships, put a lot of energy into your relationships and start to, be open in communication and be in partnership with people, and be a creative thinker, and don't be a blamer, and be a person who sees that you can have anything that you want, and that what you want is really possible.
Wow.
And if you can have that outlook in money, then you can have that outlook in every area of life.
Now, do you find, or have you heard feedback from teens that have attended the seminar? Do they go back home and just share this wealth of knowledge with their parents? I mean, probably with their friends, but have you gotten feedback with regard to positive feedback, maybe from a teen who took the seminar, going home, and the dialogue opens up about money in a good way? Do you find that happens, that they really are excited to go home and share what they've learned?
Yes, I've had a lot of feedback from parents who call and thank me
Yep.
because what they've been saying all along, they're now seeing their
Yeah.
teenagers do.
Yep,
There is it does make a difference when someone new comes into the picture, into the conversation. I also have teenagers who have gone out and gotten jobs that they are excited about, and they're now managing their money. And one of the things that I hear the most is that teens are really excited about the money management strategies, and they're amazed at how well it works. One of my participants just said to me the other day that he's amazed at how secure he feels with his money, that he finds now that his money is organized in such a way that he always has money for what he wants now, and he also can see that he has money set up for what he knows he's going to want in the future.
Now, does the seminar cover credit card debt, or does it get that specific with regard to debt and what that means and what that can do?
It's not so much about that as it is a preventive measure. So teens who are managing their money well now can see that there's no reason for them to have credit card debt in their future.
Wow. So yeah, that's true. A lot of the folks in your seminar hopefully don't have the credit card debt, but they can probably see, whether it's an older sibling or a parent, that credit card debt is really pervasive with folks today, especially in the country, where it's just with so many people having to declare bankruptcy.
Well, it is a pervasive subject, but it's so not surprising when you start to look at this aspect of money, when we're not really prepared with good habits and attitudes before we reach a point where financial realities are really impacting us. And so most of us are learning as we go. And anything that you learn as you go, you're bound to make a disaster of.
Right,
you know?
right, that's
and
true.
so that's why I want to have it so that teenagers are developing their skills and developing their knowledge base and developing their attitudes, and that they have some awareness of themselves in that area, so that when the time comes when it really makes a difference, they're already set.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, what can you mentioned? Teens love this program. It's fun and challenging.
Yes.
Can you tell us what are the fun components?
Well, one of the things that's just fun is that it becomes a very open conversation, and there's a lot of participation. There are also activities where we move around, get on the floor, get on chairs, work in pairs, play with money, play with play money, and it's just an opportunity all of a sudden for people to get to know each other easily, and it's just a very open environment, and the conversation goes fast and it's very intense. So it's 3 very packed hours with a 5-minute or 10-minute break, and it's in that 3 hours real change happens.
Now, are parents involved at all in the seminar? So that they don't come at the end of the seminar or join. It's strictly teens.
It's a teen environment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess the dynamic would change if parents were to show up,
Right. It's designed to be that way. I don't want adults around kind of having it so that teenagers are that they're self-conscious or anything like that. It's just a room full of teenagers. There's a particular kind of thing that happens when teenagers get together, and that's what we're after.
Now, I want to share, if it's okay, I'm just going to read a couple of quotes from some students who have taken the seminar. And there's a student here, and you shared a quote from her. Her name is Stephanie, and this is not her real name, but we'll call her Stephanie. That she reflects that she's eager to think about the freedom that one receives from financial independence, and she goes on to say, the memories you could create with the people you love through adventures and experiences that can enrich one's life, adventures impossible to obtain without money. And you have so many quotes here from students who have taken the seminar and who have been so impacted. There's another quote. It's interesting. You said you give us information when you ask students about personal qualities that one would need to develop to grow into a millionaire, because I understand that you ask your students about being a millionaire, what it would be like. One of your students wrote, "I would have to become a responsible, hardworking, dedicated person." Another student said, "To become more focused on my goals and on how to help other people and feel less self-centered, and in that way I shall become exactly who I want to be." These are really mature answers.
Yes.
To a question that, I think we all maybe think about what it would be like to be a millionaire, but these young people are really answering this in a very mature way, which is really empowering. Are you surprised? You said that you were surprised when you first brought this idea to your classroom at what they shared.
I was surprised that teenagers were so interested in talking about money and thinking about themselves and their future in their financial future. What doesn't surprise me is that the component that opens it up the most is when you start to talk about talk to teenagers about who can they impact and with money. When you start to talk to teens about, well, what if you want to help your family and you have a lot of money? What would that be like? What areas of the world do you want to impact with money if you had a lot of money? That never surprises me, because teenagers want so much to make a difference with the people in their lives, in their own families, in their communities, and even on a global level. Teenagers are very committed to other people and making a difference. And I think that one of the most important things to talk about when you talk about money, and a good reason to become wealthy, is to have the whole context be beyond yourself. And when you start to open it up in that way, teenagers get on board very quickly.
Wow, that's fabulous. Now, what I'm going to do, actually, is we're just going to let folks know how they can find out more information about the seminar. Now, you do have 2 seminars coming up.
Yeah.
February 2nd and February 3rd. The seminar on February 2nd is in Andover, and the seminar on February 3rd is in Westford. And we have a website, also www.wealthquestforteens.com. And so if you want any information on the WealthQuest for Teens seminar that Jill Suskind, I should say, I don't think we've even made this point, that you lead the seminar. You didn't just come up with the concept.
Right.
You lead the seminar. And it's a 3-hour seminar.
Right.
And what is the cost?
The cost of the seminar is $50, and you can just register through PayPal on the website. The one coming up in Andover on the 2nd of February is $50, and you register on the website. The next day, the Sunday seminar that's on February 3rd, is at the Rodenbush Community Center, and you call the Rodenbush Community Center in Westford and register through them.
Okay, and that information is on the website?
Yes.
And we also have some contact information for you as well that we can show everyone.
Right.
We've discussed so much. Is there something that maybe we missed? Is there something that you can think of, that another point that you want to stress about the seminar or about your experiences with undergoing this project?
I've just really come to believe that this might be the most important education that we can offer teens. And it's the kind of education that pays off now and will pay off for the rest of their lives. And I believe in it. I believe every teen wants this education, and every teen deserves this education. And I hope a lot of people participate who are watching today.
Oh, and before we, how big, what is the enrollment in the seminar? So
we have a cap on 30 participants, at each seminar.
Okay, that's wonderful. So that gives everyone the opportunity to inundate you with phone calls and visit the website, wealthquestforteens.com. And we hope that you will visit the website and find out what this seminar is all about. And my guest today was Jill Suskind. Thank you, Jill, for joining us today and talking about something that can be kind of hard to talk about. And we do hope that you enjoyed this segment. We do hope you'll come back again and watch another segment of On Air Belmont. My name is Suzzanne Cromwell. Thank you very much.